Hello, everyone. This is Alex Trumbull from the Executive Appeal, and today, you know what it is. Today is a good day. Today, I have with me not only a phenomenal CEO. It doesn't stop there. Not only just a brilliant mind in the area of finance. No, it doesn't stop there. I would say the most awesome approach to say that right now is today I have with me a really great friend. A great friend who's done some amazing things. She's been featured on TV One, on Fox News, on ABC News, on U.S. News and World Report Money. I mean, she has been featured almost, it feels like, everywhere in regards to Ebony Magazine. She was named Washington, D.C. top 30 under 30, and she was a top financial advisor identified as a top financial advisor for millennials. This woman is amazing. And you know what? With no further ado, I want to introduce you to this wonderful woman, Miss Dominique Broadway. How are you doing today, madam?
I am great. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction.
Well, it's easy when you're introducing someone amazing.
Thank you. Likewise.
So, I love to just jump into these conversations. And honestly, I remember back in the day when we were young, we're not kidding anymore, but some days I sit and think we were a kid again. Back in the day, you and I were having a coffee. It was like a lunch in Silver Spring, Maryland. It was probably like Pete's Coffee or something like that.
Okay.
And I remember you talking to me and telling me what you believed you were going to do in life, that you were going to do amazing things. And of course I believed you, but how does it feel to have accomplished what you've accomplished at, if I can be this bold, to say such a young age, because you are a bad. I think I can say the A word. It's my show. You're a badass.
Thank you. Honestly, it feels good. It's actually a conversation I was having with my grandma yesterday, and she was just asking like how I feel and am I happy and all the things. And I'm like, you know what, Grandma, I'm really proud of myself. Like, I am just really proud of myself. And I think that's something that as women, especially as people of color, a lot of times we don't stop and acknowledge and give ourselves pats on the back. And that's how I feel lately. I'm just really proud of myself. I'm proud of what I've been able to accomplish. But at the same time, I feel like I'm just getting started. So it feels good to have accomplished a lot of the things that I said that I was going to do, when I know when you and probably many other people were like, what is this girl talking about? Right. But now, starting to accomplish those things. And like I said, I feel like I'm just starting. It feels really amazing.
Well, first of all, I'm about to take a step back. I got way too excited. Actually, let me push you. Let me push back on this one. I never thought you were not going to reach your goals. I mean, you had your own radio station early on. I think you were COO of an organization at the age of 13. Like, you were doing like crazy, magnificent stuff. But I realized I didn't tell the audience what you do. So, madam, can you explain and share with us what you do?
Yeah. So my name is Dominique Broadway. I am an award-winning financial planner or financial expert. And the founder of Finances Demystified. So I was previously a licensed financial planner and wealth manager for high net worth individuals, and now I own a 8-figure financial education technology company where we create online courses, digital products, and financial technology to help people demystify their finances, and essentially live their very best lives.
Madam, so there may be some people right now saying, why did I have to bring her on? We're not here to talk about money. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about your career advancement. But I cannot tell you how critical money and financial planning is. If I can just say this, Dominique, and I'd love to get your reactions to this. The reason why I am always telling my clients and people I coach to really focus on their finances is because, as you're trying to navigate your career and advance, there are risky opportunities. And there are opportunities that require you to take a step out of your comfort zone. And it's so much easier for me anyways. It feels so much easier to take those risks when I know I have some financial backing, a financial safety net to help me? What are your thoughts on that, Miss Dominique?
No, I mean, it's totally true. Like having what I like to call that FU money, right? That says like, I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. It helps to empower you to make those bold, uncomfortable moves, right? You know, even now as a CEO and being in a leadership role, I have 25 employees that work for me, right? So I'm constantly having to even exude the personality or financial traits that we're teaching, right? And making sure that people have a good understanding of, yes, you come, you work here, but you also need to be managing your finance as well so that you can make, you know, just those positive and bold decisions and moves, you know, within your own life. And I think honestly, it just gives you that confidence. And that's all most of us, we want to be confident, right? And that's what money does. When your money is in control and you have control, when your money is under your control and you have control over it, you just feel more confident.
You know, you remind me of the whole thing. Like when you don't have money, generally money is what you think about all the time.
It is. And it has control over you.
Yeah. And I don't want to have to be focused on money. That's how I want to get my money. So I want to ask you, you know, when I talk about building your way to success and networking and leadership skills, generally speaking, it all starts with mindset. Now, there are probably a lot of people right now saying, honestly, they'll say, well, Dominique, I don't know if I really need that much money. Money's really not that important to me. I don't want to be the person who's always focused on money. What do you say to that person?
Money is important. It really is. Like, as much as people try to act like money is not important, it's important. If you want food, what do you need to get it? What do you need to get it? Money. If you want a home, what do you need to get it? If you want a roof over your head, what do you need to get it? If you want air condition, what do you need to get it to get that? If you want heat, what do you need to? If you want shoes on your feet. So I think that people need to stop acting like money is not important because it is, right? If that was the case, then you would just, you know, become a complete, you know, like nomad, go off the grid, live in the woods, which is what some people do. But if you want to live in this society and on this earth, unfortunately, money is important, or you need to have some goods or services that you can trade. You can go back to the barter system, but that's still a form of what? Currency, absolutely, which is money. So it's important. So I think we all need to, like, anyone that says that money is not important, that usually means they have a negative relationship with money. They don't have a good relationship with it. And they try to demean it or take away its value, right? Because a lot of times people feel like if I take away the value of something, then it won't be as important to me. But the value doesn't go away. So I think it's really important, if you're saying that, for you to really look at your relationship with money and say, like, do I have a negative relationship? That's probably why you feel like it's not important. Now, I understand that money is very important. It's not everything. Trust me, it's not everything, but it is very important. It is the thing, like I said, that puts the roof over my head, puts food in my mouth. I mean, you know, feeds me up, helps me take care of my children, to have childcare, all those things. So I think it's very vital. And we need to, you know, kind of let that maintain its value, because it is the main thing that keeps us all going.
But Dominique, I mean, you say it and you make it sound so easy, so very, very
well,
easy.
It is easy.
It is. But you started off as a 5-year-old kid, you know, in an organization, and 13 you had your own radio show. Like, you've done some ridiculous stuff from an early age. Don't you have to start from birth, understanding and implementing these ideas to be successful and to be able to provide for you and your family?
No, not necessarily, right? That's not the case. You have to look at some of the most successful people in the world, right? They typically come from humble beginnings. The difference between them and people who maybe aren't successful is a lot of times the drive, right? You see people all the time like, oh, I came from nothing and here I am. You know, I came from, my mom was a single mom. My dad was in prison the first 5 years of my life, right? I ended up growing up middle class, but no, I didn't start out in the ideal situation, right? Is that an ideal situation? No, right? But it's that drive and motivation and hungriness or hunger or whatever you want to call it, that, was really in me that made me aspire to want to do more. And then even when it comes down to money, I love making money. There's nothing wrong with that. But you know why I love making money? Because it gives me freedom. And I want the freedom to be able to do what I want to do. It also allows me to uplift everyone around me, right? I have 25 or so people that work with me. Some of those are family. Some of those are friends. So as I'm going on this journey, what does money do? Money allows me to uplift everyone around me. And now I can also be able to help and support other people and other initiatives or causes that I am passionate about. So those are all the things that money allow me to do. I think that you say, oh, you make it look easy or make it seem easy. It is. It's simple as that. I will say this. One of the biggest things, people are like, oh my gosh, Dominique, how did you do this or do that? And how did you make all this money while you were pregnant and while you were having a newborn and breastfeeding and all these crazy things, and you're still managing your team? I believe I can. Mm-hmm. It's simple as that. And I think that in life, especially, as leaders and as executives and whatever it is, we focus on what we can control. That's what makes us great leaders, right? When everyone else around us is freaking out about all the other things, leaders are really great. We focus on what we can control. That's why, even a lot of times people are like, how do you go through these things with so much grace? I'm focusing on what I can control. As simple as that, right? And believing that I can. And that's one of my favorite quotes. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. Right? So I know sometimes I'm in the gym and I'm working out with my trainer and she's like, are you ready? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, I see what you're doing there. And I'm like, what? She's like, you ain't ready, but you're trying to convince yourself that you're ready. And I'm like, that's true. And that's literally how I approach life. Because as soon as I start believing that I can't do something, it comes true. Because I'm convincing myself and I'm putting it out there that I can't do it.
But I if anyone was to Google your name, your name comes up very easily. FYI, anyone who wants to Google her. It's so interesting because you've have all this success. You have a multi-million-dollar business. Like, you've done phenomenal, and you've lost at times. Yes. There's an article I read about you, losing everything. Do you mind sharing a little about that and how did you share? We'll ask questions later. Can you share a little more about that?
Yeah. So there was an article that came out in Forbes, and it was basically saying how I went from being a broke financial planner to making over $8.5 million, right? And basically the shifts that had to happen, right? I got into that situation because I was undervaluing myself, not charging enough for my services, right? Not understanding the value that I'm actually providing. I got into that situation by ignoring my financial situation, right? Because I previously was a financial planner and I was always so great with money. I bought my first house at 22 and saved up all this money by 25. And once I started my business, which was doing okay, I wasn't charging enough. And so because I wasn't charging enough, I wasn't making enough. And so I was tapping away at my savings to the point where my car got repossessed and my house went into foreclosure, right? And I was able to get all those things out, but they happened, right? And I look back upon those times, I'm able to tell you, this is exactly how I got into that situation. I was ignoring my finances because I was like, oh, I'll just do better next month. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. We're like, okay, this month is bad, but next month I'll do better. Next month I'll do better. Next month I'll do better. And it wasn't happening. And so I got into this situation, which in the time I felt like was a complete failure, and I was a failure. But looking back, and even as I was, coming out of that phase, I realized it was a lesson, right? It was God's, I like to say, master's education for me, right? The next level of things I needed to learn, because previously as a financial planner, I knew how to invest and trade and create financial plans and all these things. What I was not familiar with was the other side of finances. How do you manage if your house goes into foreclosure?
Yeah.
What do you do when your credit score goes down to a 450? I can tell you because I've been there, and it was just a whole new level of education. So I think a lot of times, like I said, with life, it's all about perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so you only fail when you stop, right? So I would have failed if I got in that situation and just like, oh my gosh, I'm done. There's nothing. That would have been a failure. But for me, that wasn't even a failure. That was a lesson. A stressful, expensive lesson, but it was a lesson that I was able to take and pivot from, right? So you only fail when you stop. But yeah, that was how I got into that situation, and how, I guess, kind of how I was able to get out of it in a way. Yeah.
You remind me of a personal story for me. During I used to be in the federal government. And people may know I was in the federal government, and during maybe 3 years ago, there was a government shutdown, and everyone was very, very anxious, right? Because you're not getting paid, you have expenses, bills are coming, and the government was shut down for like 30 odd days. And during that time, I wrote my second book. During that time, I started creating courses. During that time, I started doing more videos on the importance of building relationships and networks and so on and so forth. And I remember someone coming after me online saying, how are you talking about building relationships? How are you talking about building networks right now? Everyone's in pain. They don't have jobs, they don't have paychecks. And there's two things about that. One, the reality is that, generally speaking, I think it's like 80% of jobs are filled via relationships and networks. So if you want more money, you need to be networking, building relationships. But two, I realized, I wasn't in as much pain because my wife and I had spent the time to build up that cash reserve so that those months of not having a paycheck, we were able to survive. And the same thing right now with the inflation. I realized, and this is not a brag, this is because a lot of hard work went into building this safety net for us that we live underneath on our means, so that when things go up, we don't have to change our lifestyle. Now, some people may get mad, and I kind of felt this the other day. I was thinking about, like, should I feel bad? Should I feel guilty? And someone was like, no, like, you worked hard for this. So, Dominique, what are your reactions to that, if any?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely noticed. I was actually talking to someone else about this recently. I definitely noticed how far removed I've gotten from a lot of things, right? I remember a few months ago when everyone was talking about the gas prices, and I remember sitting there, I'm like, wait, gas prices went up? Like, I didn't even know, right? One, I don't drive much, and when I do drive, I probably get gas once a month. But when you are financially stable and comfortable, sometimes you don't feel those smaller things. So even when we talk about the government shutdown, I remember that. And it was crazy to me. And I never forget, I was like, wait, the government was only shut down for 30 days. Like, I think y'all missed one paycheck. That's it. And people were like not paying their rent. And it was, and I understand like the paycheck to paycheck situation, but it also really put a magnified, like, or put a bright light, right, on the fact that most people are still paycheck to paycheck, right? And that is something that I think we forget, right? Unless when that's in that situation. But I know there's a study. It's like the average person has less than $500 saved, and that's huge. And so I remember that government shutdown, and I remember just thinking, like, you haven't even missed your first paycheck. Like, people were complaining before the first paycheck didn't even come, right? And it's like, and you're going to get it back. It's like they do a back pay. So, I think as we're heading into this recession and just coming out of the pandemic, all of these situations need to hopefully finally make people realize that they can't just, like, you have to put money away for the rainy day, because the rainy day ended up being a rainy 2 years during the pandemic, right? We thought that COVID was going to last. I know I did. I was like, oh, it's going to last like 30 days and like whatever. And COVID lasted. I mean, we're just getting out of the pandemic and we're still hearing that COVID is around, right? So I think it's very important to, during these times, to get serious about your money, right? No job is guaranteed. even as a CEO and a founder, my company, my job isn't guaranteed, right? Sales could fall, things could shift. I wouldn't let that happen, but it's possible, right? And so also with the federal government too, I think a lot of people, I'm from DC, and a lot of people, just get really comfortable working for the federal government. They feel like, I can't lose my job. I'm not disposable. And one of the things we've known is that, even your federal, as they used to call it, your good government job is not guaranteed, right? And so that has put a little bit of uneasiness on people. But I want people to, no matter what job you have, doesn't matter what job you have, always make sure that you're making your finances a priority. Like, that is key. And when you're thinking about this, as if you're a business owner, your finances are very important. As an employee, your finances are important, and having those emergency funds, and not even just for the rainy day. Like, what is the point of working if you never have a cushion? Do you really want to work until the day that you die? Right? And that's
I want to answer that. No, I want to answer that. No.
Go ahead.
No, I want to answer that. No, I don't want to work to the day I die.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah. So I actually don't want to work the day I die either. Right. But I also want to make sure when I stop working that I can maintain this lifestyle. You know what I mean? I am in a point right now where I honestly could stop working the rest of my life, which is insane. I'm 37. And I was talking to my financial planner the other day. He's like, yeah, you don't have to work anymore, which is an amazing feeling. I can still live a decent life, right? But that's the point, right? And we need to be getting our finances to a place where we can, if we want to stop working, we can. But for a lot of people, they get in these situations. And even like, I probably would never actually stop working because I get bored, right? I'm going to start something. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. But we want to make sure that we even have that option. And for a lot of people, they're not giving themselves that option when they're technically making enough money where they could, they could at least start putting their money away and getting serious about their finances so they can give themselves that option at some point.
Dominique, there's definitely another question I want to ask you. But there's one personal one now, because it is the narrative that I've been telling myself now for years. And I just want to be a little authentic with those individuals listening and watching today. So, Dominique, I consistently, and this is something I actually do fairly often, think about that last time you and I were sitting down at that coffee table talking, and you strongly encouraging me to jump out and start my own business. Over and over, you told me to do this. And I didn't, because I was making a difference at the organization I was working at, and all I had to do was wait another 8 years and my student loans would be forgiven. And then other mentors say, hey Alex, you should jump out and try this. And I'm like, no, I really enjoy what I'm doing. And then people offered me jobs. I'm like, no, I really enjoy what I'm doing. And recently I figured out that it wasn't that I was enjoying what I was doing per se. I was, but really, it was fear. It was the fear of not being successful at that and jumping out there. So I'd love to just ask you, like, what do you say to those individuals to help them overcome the fear of trying new things? Again, your programs are meant to teach people how to make money. There's still a risk component around it, right? So how do you help them overcome those fears?
So for me, it's another one of my favorite quotes is, don't fear failure, fear regret. I'm more scared of regret. And I would tell anyone, if you're like, oh my gosh, but what if I fail? And what if this happens? What if that happens? All those what if those things happened to me. I just told y'all. I remember when I left my job, my great job at this amazing financial firm, I remember, saying, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, the worst thing that can happen is my car will get repossessed, my house will go into foreclosure, and I'll go dead broke. Those things happen. They all happen. And I faced those head on, and I faced my biggest fear. So now I'm not really scared of anything else, right? Because I've already faced that fear. But even then, I was more scared of waking up at 70, 80, 90 years old and saying, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. I was more scared of that. So I would say that for anyone that's scared and you're filled with fear, are you more scared of waking up and saying, I wish I had done that and now I can't do that? That's what I'm more scared of. I will also say, you know, if you're religious, or I am a religious person. I'm a religious woman. I love the Lord. Faith and fear can't reside in the same heart. And so that was another big thing, another big quote that I say, and even now to this day, when fear does start to creep in, I focus on faith, right? And I know that if I lean on faith, the fear just, it decimates, it goes away, right? So as long as you're focusing on faith and leading with faith, the fear can't come in. And when you're full of faith, let me tell you, I've been running on faith fumes for the last few years, right? And I'm like, I don't let any fear creep in. And when it does creep in, I address it, right? And I go out of my way to make myself uncomfortable. That's another thing that a lot of people don't like. They don't like to be uncomfortable. I love being uncomfortable. I am so uncomfortable right now with all the shifts and changes and things that we have going on, and all the books, all the stuff I have coming out. I'm like, I am so uncomfortable, but I love this because I haven't been uncomfortable in a long time. I got really good at doing this one thing very well, and it got easy and I got comfortable. Yeah. And once I started getting comfortable, I'm like, I need to shake this up. I need to make myself uncomfortable again. And so that would be my answer. Faith and fear can't go together. If you're picking fear, pick fear. Stay in your fear. Be scared, but get out the way for everyone else that's picking faith. And then fear, don't fear failure. Fear regret. That's what you should be scared of.
You know, Dominique, I want to underscore for everyone real quick. She did say when fear does arise, she deals with it. So what does that mean? That means that even at her level, she still occasionally deals with fear.
Oh yeah. It still creeps in. Like now, like I said, we're doing new things. I'm a little nervous. What if this doesn't work? But the thoughts start to creep in. Oh my gosh, what if this happens? I need to hire this person. How am I going to find them? Like it's different problems. Different things that you're scared of, but you still have to, get out, right? They still creep in. There's no way to block it all out.
Yeah.
That's also where you have to protect your ear and eye gate, right? Create your own ear and eye gates, right? I was on a podcast interview yesterday and they were talking about the recession. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, we ain't doing all that. We're not doing that. Because that is literally like you trying to take all the things that's happening in the world and the media and all this stuff, and you're letting it paralyze you. That's all fear does. It paralyzes you. We all know that family friend or whoever, or colleague that has been trying to get the promotion for forever, has been trying to start that thing forever, or been trying to buy a house for forever, or wanting to travel to so-and-so for forever, and they haven't done it, right? These are people who are literally letting fear paralyze them. And you'll see them at 60 or 70. And as I said, they're going to be like, oh man, I wish I had done that. I wish I had done this, or I wish I had done that. I am more scared of being that person. That's who I'm scared of.
Dominique, you are amazing. Now, everyone, I'm gonna be very self-serving right now because I know there's only so much time that Dominique has. So I'm gonna end this early so I can talk to her for a little bit. Very self-serving, but that's what you can do when you're in charge. Yes. I do want to ask you one last question, then we'll start wrapping up.
Yeah.
If anyone were to watch your Facebook group or your Instagram, whatnot, they would very quickly see that you are a mother. And again, I'm be very careful when I ask this question because I am not a woman. But I've heard that how you can't be successful and be a woman with children, or you just can't spend any time with your children. But it doesn't seem like that's the case for you. How do you do this?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think there's really no such thing as balance, right? I think that people prioritize the things that they want to prioritize. And thankfully I am the CEO. I'm the owner of my company, so I can structure my life. I do have 2 kids. I have an almost 1-year-old and a almost 3-year-old, and they're very active. And I've set my life up so that, I'm with them most of the time, right? They're not here right now, but I am with them most of the time. So I feel like with all things in life, as I said, you focus on what you can't control. People don't realize there's so much in life that we can't control. I can control where my children are, how much I get to see them. Like, I can literally control all of those things. And so that's a lot of times people are like, how in the world, like, I see that your children are there or they're here and they're always with you, but you're always, you're also working. It's really just figuring out what you want your ideal life to look like. I love the fact that I can money, right? Money allows for me to have a nanny so that I can have my children nearby and I can still get to see them and be with them. And, someone else may be taking care of them for those hours that I'm working, but they're right here if I want to access them. So I would say, definitely the whole motherhood thing, it doesn't slow you down. It just shifts how you move. I will say that one of the biggest things too is that, for all those people who I was actually talking to someone else about this the other day, they were saying, they've been delaying having children because they felt like it was going to mess up their success. And I shared with them that, when I had my first even $1 million month, I had a 1.5-year-old, right? I think I was still, like a 1-year-old. I think I may have been like still breastfeeding her, right? And then when I went on to make the rest of even the other millions, I was pregnant, right? Yeah. So, basically saying that it doesn't stop you. If anything, it has provided more structure for me. It has allowed me to understand that when I didn't have kids, you have all day to work, right? You get your hours, you have all day, like all day long, I can do whatever I want to do. But when you have children, no. I have like maybe 6 hours a day that I can really truly work, maybe sometimes less than that. And that's it. And so now I'm able to get a lot more done in a lot less time. I don't waste as much time. My time is very, 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 very tailored and very just, precise. Everything we're doing is very intentional. Very intentional. So it's very doable.
Well, look, Dominique, thank you so much. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Madam, are there any final thoughts, ideas, anything you'd like to share with our guests you're the guest, with our audience as we begin to wrap up?
Yeah, I would say definitely don't when you have those thoughts of fear creeping in, fight them off with thoughts of faith and overpower those thoughts with positive thoughts. That's very, very important. A lot of this leadership and all these things and just being successful all comes down to mindset. It really does. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. Just push out the negative thoughts. You can do anything you want to do. It's very true.
You can do anything you want to do. You know what that means? That means don't just look back, reach back, bring someone else to the table. If you found anything of value in today's conversation, you don't keep it to yourself. Don't be that guy or that gal. Be someone who brings a good message to someone, because Dominique just spent 35 minutes sharing phenomenal advice and content with us. Don't let this fall on only your ears when you could share it with so many people. Thank you so much, Dominique, for being here today. I greatly appreciate you. Everyone who's listening, who's watching, thank you so much. And you know where I'm about to go. Stay strong, stay positive, and definitely stay moving. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Executive Appeal with Alex Trumbull. I invite you to follow The Executive Appeal wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow me, your host, Alex Trumbull, across all socials or via email for exclusive webinars, courses, and speaking engagements on continued topics of executive leadership. So until next time, stay strong, stay positive, and definitely stay moving.